All right, AFPG. So for this week on the Health and Wellness Challenge, we're gonna go with a little different approach. We're not gonna do a workout. We're actually gonna go through some static stretches. So these stretches are good for after you do any workout, or what I honestly like to do with these stretches, guys, is right before bed. If you're struggling with having a good night's sleep, stretching before bed is one of the things that'll help you get to sleep quicker and fall into a deeper sleep. So I do these pretty much every night. I'll rotate between what stretches I do, but I at least do some form of stretching right before I get into bed, usually around 10 to 15 minutes of stretching before I get into bed. And I usually sleep pretty well. So I'm gonna go through some of those stretches that I do, and hopefully they work out for you and you'll end up sleeping better, or you'll end up recovering faster from whenever you do a workout. So the first stretch I like to do, guys, is dropping down into a perfect stretch or a runner's stretch. So you're gonna have your right leg up, your left leg is gonna be extended back, okay? Ideally, you wanna keep it off the ground, okay? If you can't do this, you can drop your knee, and that's totally fine. So I keep mine off the ground. You wanna take your right elbow and put it on your right heel, okay? And you're just gonna sit in this position for at least 30 seconds. Do it from 30 to 60 seconds, whatever you can do. So after you sit here for 30 seconds, you wanna try to go lower. If this is already super easy for you, you just drop that chest to the ground, okay? Ideally, you'd want your chest laying on the ground. That'll get you the best stretch. So after I do my right leg, I skip over and I do my left leg, okay? Remember, that right leg is straight back, off the ground, taking right elbow to right, or to left, taking left elbow to left heel. Holding that for 30 to 60 seconds, okay? Then eventually trying to drop your chest. Next thing I move in is to stretch the hips. I go back over to my right and I do what's called a pigeon stretch, okay? So my right leg, gosh, I'm having trouble with my rights and lefts. My left leg is extended back, laying completely on the ground, while my right leg is folded. So ideally you want to try to put this heel right in the center of your chest if you can. This stretch is pretty difficult. You have to have nice and loose hips. I don't, so I always struggle with it, and this foot tends to go out this way. Like I said, ideally you want it lined up with your chest. So you reposition that foot and you're gonna drop down. Good. Holding that 30 to 60 seconds. Switching with your to your left leg and doing it on that side. Okay. The next thing I like to do, guys, is going back to that runner stretch. Okay. And then I do this is more of a dynamic stretch because I'm moving during it. I take my right elbow to right heel, tap, and then I reach up to the sky, hold for a couple of seconds, and I do this about 10 times. After 10 times, I switch over and do that on my left side, having my left elbow touch my left heel, then stretching up with my left hand. After that, I like to sit on my bottom and I like to really stretch those hamstrings. So you want to try to get in a straddle position as much as possible, okay? Ideally, you want to spread those legs as far out as you can. Some people might only be right here, okay? And if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. Like I said, ideally you want to spread those legs as far as possible, okay? And then I'm just gonna lean over to my left side, okay? Reach over to that left side, slowly try to drop that chest. Some people can't do that. If you reach into your left side, is this right here, and you're feeling it, awesome. Stick with that for about 30 to 60 seconds, okay? After that, I go over to my right, 30 to 60 seconds, and then I do the middle. For the middle, guys, I like to stretch in front of something so I can grab onto it and really pull myself into it, and that'll allow those hamstrings to really stretch. Keep those legs locked out as much as possible, okay? We don't want them bent at the knee, we want them locked out as much as possible, okay? So after that, I like to go back to the left, holding my left foot, and I like to reach over with my right. That really stretches that right side and your right hip. Go back over to the right side, grab with your right hand, reach over with the left. Then I go back to the middle one more time, holding 30 to 60 seconds. Then one final time, I like to just, again, this is more of a dynamic stretch because I'm moving, but I like to just tap my head on my knees, and I do about 10 taps on each side. That really loosens up my hamstrings. So that's pretty much what I do. On my lower half, I really like to loosen up my legs before I go to sleep. By really stretching those hamstrings, you'll loosen up your lower back, and you'll sleep pretty well. So try those out right before you go to bed and see how you sleep. If you got any questions, just let me know, guys.